beautiful morning to you. Welcome to yet another interesting time on Benue Television, your all-time favorite program, Daybreak Benue. My name is Mercy Uba.
I'm Steven Abba. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Stephen. You look good.
Good morning, Mercy.
I guess
Thank you very much.
we're in the new era where women are actually giving compliments to men now.
What is the least you can do?
Are you serious right now? But yes, speaking of new era, it's now Benue people in particular have been charged, to break the chain and embrace the new. And what's this new that we're talking about? We're talking everything development. We're talking even renewal of mindset, being open to possibilities of having 24 hours uninterrupted power supply, possibilities of riding or walking, taking a walk on swift, smooth roads that will stand the test of time, not ones that after 1 year will crack down, have potholes all over. We're talking an era where there is potable water, even in our rural communities. Now, this is the era we're all embracing, especially when, again, that environment is being beautified with trees in particular, emphasis on trees, for not just for the sake of climate change, but for the sake of beautifying our environment.
The aesthetics.
Yes.
You see, when somebody has a closed mind, possibilities are actually limited, or they may not even exist at all. So this is where leadership comes in. Leadership is all about vision. It's all about bringing something new, something novel that people have not experienced before. So, and it is your ability to communicate this vision that actually makes you a good leader. So when you hear people say, "Na road we go chop," or "What is the underpass for?" and other things, you discover that they have a closed mindset, and the job of a leader is to open up that closed mindset. And I think that is what this administration is doing, because we are going to be seeing new things. There was a post I posted some time ago. I posted the picture of a city, and I said by the end of this administration, this is how Makudi, at least Makudi metropolis, will be looking like. And one or two persons were saying one or two things. I say, well, if you can't see it, you can't achieve it. For me, I've seen it, so it is achievable.
Yes, so most definitely.
What we should be doing at this point in time to encourage this administration is to change our mindset, just like you said earlier.
Very importantly, and in regards to still changing of mindset, taking care of things that ordinarily you will regard as government property. Before now there was this mindset that which is government property has no owner, as such should be abandoned or well taken care of. And that's why in the time past you find people even writing on walls that they consider to be government structures, or littering the environment because they feel it's none of their business. But no, at least this administration is showing that everybody is a stakeholder, and everybody is part of government, is a government as such. When you see the road divide, it's important that you don't see those beautiful gutters as a place for you to be dumping your refuse. It's for water to pass through, that we won't have so much flooding in the state again. It's not for you to dump your refuse dump. So there's this from that habit. And again, don't just put refuse dump close by and say you're not putting it there. Breeze could move it into the gutters, or even rain can sweep it into the gutters, and that will block the drainage systems, and as such it constitutes a big problem again for Benue State. Plant trees, do not dump your refuse dumps in gutters, do not burn your refuse dumps. Please tidy them properly and keep in a designated place.
Areas,
and then it's very important that you go out as far as informing, at least play your own part. If Bensesa does not come forward to pick up this refuse dump, go as far as writing to them, requesting they come play their own parts, that you in your community have actually put them in a certain place. They should come and pick it up. But whereas you just litter them around and then say they are not coming to do their work, I think that is everybody not actually doing their own part.
They are not participating in development. And you see, when you destroy government property, at the end of the day, government can still use that excuse to use taxpayers' money to fix it and give other excuses as to why they are not doing one or two things. For example, they can even tell you, well, we've channeled this money to the construction of this particular road that you destroyed. It's why we can't bring light to this part of this state. It is why we can't do it. It is why we can't even pay salary.
Series of excuses.
You understand? Because
and it's all
you
back and
contributed to
forth.
it. You understand? So we should help the government to do the right thing. And you see, when you do this, you litter. At the end of the day, they end in your homes. When you go to our homes, how clean are we? These are the questions I ask personally.
And even if they don't end up in your home, you feel they have been swept away. How about the air you're breathing in? These things form part. How about there is cholera outbreak currently that most states in Nigeria are facing. And who said Benue can't be part of those states? We just have to keep the environment very clean. And while we're here focusing on Benue State, another great concern is that of the internally displaced people in the IDPs. They have been in that camp for far too long. What is the current situation? I recall during the swearing in of His Excellency Governor Yomi Hyacinth earlier, one of his top priorities was to reset the IDPs back to their ancestral homes. How far, so far, with that promise and the journey so far? We're going to be having a conversation, an interesting one at that, on Daybreak Benue this morning, delving into the humanitarian situation in Benue State and looking at what the hope or the future holds for all of us, because this is everybody's business. So I encourage you to be part of the program via our social media platform. Drop your comments, your questions, engage us. We would really love that. We'll go for a break now. We'll come back. We'll have our guest seated for a conversation. Stay with us. Welcome back from that break. We are going to have a conversation today on Daybreak Benue, a very interesting one at that, where our attention will not be far-fetched from the humanitarian situation in Benue State and what the hope or the future holds, especially for the people at the IDP camps. The current situation revolving that presently, what the past was like and what the future will be like for them. And we have very important guests in our studio. People who are actually in the right place or right position to give us answers to some of the questions that we have been yearning or begging for answers. And today on Daybreak Benue, our focus is USAID BHA funded humanitarian intervention in Benue State. Just looking at that word, funded intervention, has brought smiles on my face and giving me relief already. And joining us for a conversation this morning, we have Sir James Yupu, the Executive Secretary, SEMA. You're most welcome to Daybreak Benue this morning. All right, and then we also have in the studio Leo Angelo Viashima, Director General Bureau for International Cooperation and Development. You're most welcome to Daybreak Benue.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, so for a state like Benue that had the glory for a very long time as the food basket of the nation, sadly, it became the epicenter for displacement, with over or about 1.5 million people, if not more, in the IDPs. And the sad part is now the people in the IDPs are those mostly from the rural areas, not just any rural areas, but one of the most fertile lands in Benue State. Those are the people that were displaced. So you can imagine what happened to the name of Benue or its glory as the food basket of the nation. And this has lingered for a very long time. The humanitarian situation there has been quite pathetic. If you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. So here, we're going to be having a conversation. And there, you said BHA funded humanitarian intervention in Benue State. Let's first turn to the SEMA boss. What's the current situation, the humanitarian situation in Benue State as we speak?
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity to talk to Nigerians and the international community on the humanitarian situation in our state, particularly what is happening to our people and brothers who are displaced for over 7-8 years now. Some are living in RDP camps, some are living in the host communities. And we're happy that God has given us Father Leah as the governor of Benue State at this point in time, because as he arrived on the seat of government in Benue State, he has given attention, the passion to making sure that the people who are displaced return to the ancestral home. Today the story is changing, and we hope that he has opened government or governance, and many UN organizations are coming into the state. The reason why we are also expecting top visitors from world nations and UN organizations who are arriving in the state tomorrow to help us look at what is happening and help us to solve the problem. The governor has already launched a durable solution to the RDP situation. That is preparatory to finding ways to return these people to ancestral home.
Okay.
So that is the situation now.
Okay, that's fine. May we really understand, the nature of this humanitarian crisis and what the situation looks like for the people, that warrant this unprecedented intervention coming into the state. Give us, a picture or an understanding so that our viewers can really appreciate, especially our partners who are even yet to be in Benin for the first time, understand what the people have been through or are going through in the IDPs. Leo Viashima.
All right, thank you very much. I think like the SEMA boss has said, SOCOR is finally finding its way in here. However, first is to say the conflict in Benue is multidimensional. We have conflict with farmer-herder conflict. You also have the conflicts that are driven by, ethnic conflicts. You have intra-ethnic conflicts. You also have conflicts that are driven by natural disaster. You have conflicts that are even driven by other armed groups. Or there are so many actors in the armed space that made the Benue conflict situation very complex. Okay. But in all of these situations, one common denominator is the women, men, children of our communities are the ones who are displaced, who need to seek refuge or seek help, or seek a place to stay. And usually most of them find themselves in coordinated camps. Benue has a total of about 14 registered camps. And when I say registered camps, is the fact that sometimes you find that people stay in locations that are not conventional. Typically, in some communities, people don't even want to stay in the camps, so people stay with relatives, or people stay with churches, or stay with people who can accommodate them. But in designated camps, of about 14 designated camps. Now, as you are aware, the camps are not exciting. They're not really exciting places. The camps are places, makeshift spaces. So you find people living in tarpaulin environment. For those of you who have been to weddings, imagine a tarpaulin where there is no AC in it. You can imagine the situation. So most importantly is that people live in very horrifying conditions. What this government had done actually was increase partners' presence here. So there's some sort of accommodation with sort of dignity that has been built for most of them. Some of them have been taught also to raise those structures themselves so that they're able to have decent roof over their head. What has led to this funding is basically some of these camps are taken over by some of these camps were taken over in economic spaces. A particular camp is in an estate environment, and then the people who built those estates, they deserve to live in those houses. Some of these camps are taken over by markets. They've been taken over in markets. Those markets need to come back. And Alia is very keen about making sure that the economic conditions of people in this state bounces back. Now, the disservice to this also, some of these camps are actually in schools. The disservice to this also is the fact that the IDPs are not selling. The people in the IDPs are not selling. The community is not selling. So it's become a moribund situation where the camps are no longer working. Hence, the assistance became very critical. For us to have...
We'll talk more. We'll have a whole hour to talk about this intervention that is coming. But people really need to just even understand the situation on the ground to really appreciate the assistance coming in.
Yes, maybe you give us a brief about the specific conditions of this IDP dwellers. Because most persons have not been to this IDP camp, so they can't even imagine the horrible situation or the horrible environment they are living. And probably you give us a picture of how these places are. You mentioned that we have about 14 registered IDPs in Benue State. These are the registered ones. We don't even, maybe there are others that are not even registered at all. So we need to know their conditions. For example, in terms of feeding, water, sanitation, and the rest of them.
Thank you. Thank you once again. Yes, like you say, if you are not been to the camp, we don't understand exactly the worst situation going on in these places. Each time I go to the camp, I come back home, I find it difficult to sleep. Watching people like me, I always said by the grace of God that I'm not the one living in that condition. So it's not a place to want to stay for even for 1 second. But people have found themselves in these places. There is a particular tent. We call them mosquito tents. Mosquitoes were distributed to these people to assist them, prevent them from malaria and mosquito bites. They turn this mosquito net to give shelter for themselves. And they stay here. 2 families stay in this one place. 2 head household. Different families who don't know themselves before. They found themselves in camp and they're living in this makeshift arrangement. And they're still there with their families, members. The children some children have been born into this camp. They are born in this camp. They have no access to school. Some people arrived in this camp as far back as 2017. Children who are born in this camp in 2007. They are no longer. They're supposed to be in school now.
Yeah.
They are not in school. we have a problem of, apart from shelter, we have a problem of sanitation, sanitary, where people can have their convenience. You see, in camp, we have about, like each one camp, we have about 6,000 people. We have only about 24 that train. Imagine about 6,000 people using only 24 that train. You know, you can understand. And this includes women, men, and children using this facility. What about heads? Like, because they're using this mosquito net to construct this tent, then those things attract snakes. Every day you're having snake bites, one story of snake bite. Before Federer came into office, the major problem of the IDP was feeding. It's now that IDP, if you go to IDP now, ask them, they say, government is taking care of us. Before it was not like that. But now government, the federal government, purchase a lot of food items and non-food items to supply to these people. Once in a month. And that is not enough. Somebody is in camp who is having about 8 to 9 children. The father and the mother is there. Many of these women have their husband lost their lives during the crisis. They don't have any other support from anywhere, apart from what the government is giving to them, monthly, and what other spirited human beings come to assist them from one time to another. Or NGOs are distributing dignity kits to them. That is all the intervention that comes. And you expect this woman who's having about 3 to 4 to 5 children to survive with this kind of arrangement. So there's huge challenges in this country. Huge challenges.
Okay, I don't know if Leo, you want to add anything to that. If not, we proceed with our next question.
Okay, in terms of the situation, I think Sir James has pretty much captured most of this.
We also heard of even sexual abuse,
Well, we're not talking about rape and all this harassment from. There are some women who lost their husbands during the crisis, who are not even up to 25 years. They're in camp. They are still within the ripe age of sex attraction, but they don't have people to take. So people abuse them in this camp. So it's pathetic.
I think according to the recent discussion with MSF, Medicine Sans Frontier, there were well-documented cases of protection cases, and these were basically centered around gender-based violence and its impact on the mental health of the persons staying in IDP camps. So yes, that's now a situation that's boiling, and the sad thing about gender-based violence is the fact that it's perpetrated by people you said seemingly trust. It's perpetrated by people you think should protect you. And before now, the camps were really not protected. I think this government started providing fences, and then with the improved shelters, people now are in some way protected. As a whole population, to boast that you can cater for that level of protection will require some assistance, which is where the Bureau is working assiduously with the humanitarian community, which is SEMA and the ministry itself, to attract more partners into the state to see how that can be supported.
Yeah, okay.
All right, you said something about, he said something about improved shelter. Earlier, the ES said they use mosquito nets as tents. So when you said improved shelter, what did that mean?
So you won't take away the fact that people still live in deplorable conditions there, but then again, the scope we had expansion in terms of those who's being catered for. Very recently, there were school, for instance, in Ichwa camp was under a palm. What do you call that thing? Palm fronts were used as shelter for schools. But very recently, with partnership with a very noble organization, there's a whole beautiful shelter provided for school. So now kids don't have to run out of class when rain is falling. They have a decent space where they can school. They've been expanded tent also, especially in some very few camps, and that means that the number of persons who are now being taken care of in terms of shelter have increased. Some camps did have a fence around them. For instance, one of the first things that Sir James did was to consolidate the fencing arrangement and gate arrangement in Ichwa camp. Now, the increased presence of SEMA staff in the camps is also increasing documentation. In fact, some SEMA staff literally sleep in those camps. So with that, it's easy for gender-based violence cases to also be reported immediately and treated. But we also recognize that there's a need for us to have an improved mechanism or framework for reporting of gender-based violence issues that exist in the camps, especially when they predominantly happen within spaces that we can manage or we can control. So yeah, basically that's what we were talking about.
Okay, sorry to butt in here, Stephen, because we need to really understand, the current situation before we even move into to appreciate this initiative that is coming on board. Before now, there is this narrative that the former past administration of Buhari was at loggerhead with the former administration of Otum, and when two elephants fight, the grass suffers. As such, the Queen IDPs were relegated to the background. Not much attention was given to them, and they were in such horrifying situation. But then we got to interact with some partners, especially those in the NGO front, and they got to tell us that the reason why most partners will not even come to Benue for this intervention is because Benue didn't actually have proper statistics or documentation of the people in the IDP for AIDS even come in the first place. Tell us about the statistics current. Do we have a well-documented data of people in the IDPs?
Yeah, thank you so much. That is one of the important aspects of changing the narratives of Benue, which the Gonorrhea has introduced into the humanitarian space here. When we arrived on the scene, we discovered that Benue has no data. Benue was not even in the National Humanitarian World Plan because we have no data. So if we don't have data, nobody knows our situation. So when we came on board, we tried to find out how can we have a verifiable data of the displaced population in the state. And we were introduced to International Organization for Migration, who has the expertise in driving the population of verified population of those people who are displaced. So we approached them and they agreed. The governor personally wrote a letter to the chief of mission of IOM, and he came here and launched the training of those enumerators who will carry out the capturing of this IDP. And today, IOM is here. They are in partnership with UNHCR. So today, on the 14th of January this year, when IOM first published the first phase of the IDP data, it attracted the world's humanitarian organizations. The first person that reacted to that was U.S. Bureau of Humanitarian Assistance. So they are here now. They came here and met with the governor. They went around, carried out assessment to all the camps. And today we had BHA and IOM and the one mobilizing the international community to Benue State because of data. Now we have a data. And now we are into the second phase of the data capture. And in the 14 camps and those living in the host community. And the dynamics of the situation in the state is that many, as DG said, many of people who are not living in camps. Those people who are displaced in Kwandi, in Kasanala, in Okun, in Agatu, in Apa, are not living in camps. They are living with their relations. So, but this exercise capture all of them. Now they are, I think they are in Kwandi now. The team, the Iowa team, kind of not the biometric, the Kwandi local government. So now they don't have a data. There's nowhere they can sit to discuss humanitarian crisis in the world. That Benue will not be mentioned. So we are.
Okay, good to know. Not everything is political after all. At the end of the day, all right. You want to add something to that?
Yeah, I think in addition to that, like you said, one of the first things we did, I like to run away from the conversations of past administrations or president. For me, it's common sense. Common sense in the sense in that there are things that attract partners. But remember, first of all, most of this is responsibility of government. And this government had taken that initiative to say, you know what, it's our responsibility to drive the change we want to see. First, we recognize that the narrative about Benue State in terms of the humanitarian crisis was not put right. I think the narrative had political undertone, and partners don't go where politics is predominant. The humanitarian situation is beyond politics. It's something that politics drives the change that we expect to see in the humanitarian space. However, when you politicize humanitarian situation, it's a no-no for partners. So the first thing we did was sort of work with the blueprint that helped partners understand what's going on in Benue State. And this is not just partners; it's even federal government. A lot of institutions that wanted to understand what's happening in Benue State were not getting access to information. And because we're not getting access to information, you don't help people. You don't, and that's why even the blind man or the blind man would write and say, "Help, I'm blind." You know, if he doesn't write it and hold it, you probably won't know he's blind, so you can't help. So there was information that was needed out there. First is that we didn't have a humanitarian situation analysis. We didn't have a context. So no one could drive within a context-less situation. And now the first thing we did with Save the Children and a few other partners to have a Benue State humanitarian situation, which is yet to be published. We're still reviewing the reports from that. Once the reports are finalized, we'll have our first true analysis and the context of our Benue situation. And that in itself began to tell the story of Benue, as it were. The IOM, the data tracking matrix, which is called the IOM-DTM, which was commissioned by Benue State government to happen. Recall also that the enumerators are Benue indigents. So it's state-owned. It's a data that is driven by us. It's not like a partner driving it. The enumerators, we ensure that whoever is an enumerator is a Benue indigent, so that we can trust whatever is coming out of it. Not because if it's not Benue, we won't trust, but ownership at all levels has to be taken care of in terms of accountability. So that had happened. The IOM-DTM is out there. We had worked with the governor. The governor literally, I think in 1 year of his administration, has been to UN building a couple of times. And has interacted with the resident coordinator of the United Nations at the highest levels to make sure that the story of Benue is told at the right levels. Now let me give you a very simple, a very exciting trick. Before now, for those of you who are media people, you know that it used to be the Bay States. Bay State being BAY, Borno, Adamawa, Yobe, where the conflict there was recognized globally. It was known by everybody. But under this administration, this new government now, we have it called BABY. So it's BAY and B, or you can put a B in between and it becomes baby, how you want to put it. But Benue Adamawa is now Borno, Adamawa, Yobe plus Benue. So Benue is now part of the Durable Solutions. Now, the Durable Solutions is a new initiative basically under United Nations, driven by United Nations Secretary General, that ensures a more permanent solution to the IDP situation beyond temporary or stopgap measures. So basically, Benue is now part of that. The only 4 states in Nigeria, who's of course the most conflict-ridden states in Nigeria, being recognized, and then it means interventions can come. what we've also done is we've made sure that we infuse ourselves in every global conversation that has to do with humanitarian situation, so that we can work together. And we do all of these things as there's a very solid team. There's a solid triangle between the humanitarian, the development, and peace nexus. Where we all coordinate how this response is for us to be able to address the durable solutions that we all need for the IDPs, basically.
Okay, we'll talk more about this, and again, subsequently we'll delve into this initiative that is coming in, because I believe there is a launch ongoing. We're due for a break now. Remember, you can be part of Daybreak Benue this morning via social media platform. Drop your comment, your question, and I believe our guests will love to attend to all of them. Stay with us. We'll be back for a conversation.
Benue Fashion Show Season 3 is here.
It's that time of the year for fashion designers, entrepreneurs, and fashion enthusiasts to shine.
This year, sale of forms for the competition begins from 15th April to 30th June 2024.
Pick a form at Benue Television, located at Special Duties Wing, Government House, Makudi. Form cost 5,000 naira only.
Stage 1 screening begins on the 6th of July 2024. Great prizes await you.
The first prize, 1 million naira. Second prize, 500,000 naira. And third prize, 300,000 naira. All prizes are inclusive of cash and fashion tools. Also, consolation prizes and gift items.
For sponsorship, partnership, and inquiries, please call Benue TV Marketing on 0906 188 9838 or 0703 794 5569. Benue Fashion Show, embracing fusion fashion.
We're still having a conversation with the Executive Secretary, SEMA, Sir James Yopu, and the Director General Bureau for International Cooperation and Development, Leo Angelo Shima, on the USAID BHA-funded humanitarian intervention in Benue State. Has everything been, under control? Because we heard that when interventions from certain partners, come to the IDPs in Benue State, oftentimes even people who are not IDPs go there to collect these things, and sometimes the main people who are supposed to have access to these things don't have it. Have all of those things been under control?
I'll approach that question from a different perspective.
Okay.
Before today, semester we are not in camps to coordinate activities. You cannot just go to IDP camp without obtaining a permission from summer office now. That's to stop people intervening, crashing into IDP to harass them and take away what is belongs to them. Now you cannot just do that because we have our staff who are well trained to protect it, for protection, basically, to make sure that we should not increase the suffering of these people. So we have these people in place. So you cannot go to camp. Whatever belongs to IDP now goes to them directly without any interference from anybody. So that has been settled.
Okay, I think we should delve into the main course of the meal. So, what are the primary objectives of, you said, PHA funded, humanitarian and funded intervention in the state? The primary objectives?
Yes, the governor has, like the DG has said, the governor has launched the durable solution. That's providing basic solution to the IDP situation, leading to returning them to their ancestral home. But before we are waiting for that, as I said earlier, IDP are living in mosquito tents. Many of them, even though IOM, USL, MSF, and some of the other local NGOs have provided provided shelter to them, what they call tarpaulin shelters for them. But majority of them are still living in these makeshift tents. And while we are waiting for the governor to conclude arrangements on moving these people to their ancestral home, the rainy season is coming. So we approach these people to assist us, move these people away from this mosquito tent to where we can have, what informed our decision is we travel, we went to a study tour in Bruno, and we discovered that the governor of Bruno State, or the government of Bruno State, has returned some IDP. But some of the IDP who are still, their communities are still in conflict. They have been moved into one place where better shelters are provided for them in, what's the name of this? Bama. Bama. In Bruno State. So we visited Bama camp. We are about at the time we were in Bama in November last year, 106 IDP camps were found in one place. Where they were better coordinated, better managed, and better cared for. So we saw that as a very good one. That was also a prepared that kind of arrangement from understand. We have IDP camp, like what the teacher said. Some are living in Bakak, a market that was being under construction. When they were facing these classes, they run into this market, they occupy it. You cannot send them out of the market. Nepal staff, Nepal or old, have their own staff through their welfare scheme. They allocate plots for them, they borrow money, build these houses for themselves to occupy. While the construction was ongoing, some people were found chasing away from their homes. They moved to this available space. You can't chase them away.
Okay, so if I get this picture correctly, you said BHA initiative or funded initiative is basically to provide shelter, durable shelter for the IDPs?
No, durable shelter. It's transit shelter.
Okay, maybe you give us more elaborate understanding of what this you said BHA initiative or funded initiative mean for Benue State.
So first off is to say that like he had said, the initiative is a state-inspired initiative, but of course, BHA had visited here and done the assessment, and one of the key things that came up clear was to have a shelter, transient shelters with dignity, while putting in mind that durable solutions will be activated in the state.
Yeah.
These shelters will still be at the IDP camps?
They are transient.
Okay.
There's a whole new space that has been provided by government. It's a 56-hectare land where these shelters will be provided. So it's going to be some sort of a mini estate, but it's transient. We do not hope to keep that permanently. They won't hopefully be there more than
6 months.
Idea is 6 months,
Yeah.
but worst case scenario 9 months, because we'll begin to activate the durable solutions. What happened is, like he had mentioned, there is their needs, and that was the context for why this was approved or why this is going on. There is a dear need for us to have people move from certain camps, even in part, like Ichwa, for instance, in part. Some of the pictures I saw on the screen here were Ichwa camp.
Yeah.
So there's a need to move some people from, in part at least, from some camp to a particular location. So what has come to us is the support to be able to have transient shelters. Even the Ichwas, the Baka, the Abagana, the Daudu 1, Daudu 2s are all transient camps. It's just sad that it has lingered for a long time. The intention of this government is to return IDPs back to the ancestral home, which is a durable solution. However, there are mechanisms that have to be put in place, which is what we're doing right now. And as we draw, for instance, the supplementary budgets and we draw the 2025 budget, those things will be taken care of. Even in 2024 budget, there are a few components of that has been taken care of. And as partners come in, we begin to leverage. Right now, we have 2 key projects that are gone in towards returning IDPs permanently to their camp. We hope to be part of the SOLID project, which is a World Bank funded project. And if we are on that project, which we are working the variables and the indicators that require us to be on that project, we're working on them right now. Then the durable solutions, which of course we've been signed into by the Vice President about a month ago. Now, this project definitely will support government in returning IDPs back to their ancestral homes. And then, of course, the government of Adalia is also making sure that that happens by having consultations with security agencies.
Yeah.
For instance, for IDPs to return home, they have to do it voluntarily, and then the place has to be safe for them to return. If the place is not safe for them to return, they can't return. And if the IDPs don't want to return, of course, you can't force them. So, but again, what are the factors or the variables that make IDPs go back to their home or their ancestral homes? The government is making sure those happens. Recall recently that His Excellency had announced construction of roads. For those of you who are in the media, you remember the kilometers of roads, and most of these are rural roads. Some of these roads are around areas where these IDPs are. Why do you think these roads are being built? To enable quick response. To enable quick response to this community. So everything His Excellency is doing, if you notice it, they are all geared towards sustaining or ensuring that IDPs return and are staying there. The announcement by His Excellency of cooperatives, agric farms, support for agriculture, provision of tractors and all of that, is to ensure that IDPs are also supported to be able to go back to their initial livelihood source. You know, if IDPs don't have their source back, their livelihood source back, it's difficult for them to go back there. Recall that for the 9-year-old person who was given birth to in the camp, he has forgotten, he doesn't even know that his parents' source of livelihood was farming.
Yeah. Right.
If he's not taught. Some of them left farming now, some of them in Ichwa camp, I asked a few of them, and they said now they fish. They will go to the stream, there's a stream nearby, they fish from there, and then they through the fishing they're able to sell. Some of them are taking up new opportunities. Maybe if you tell them to go back to the ancestral home, they'll tell you no, that they found fishing, and that's how new settlements also come up.
Yeah.
But point I'm making is that this government's intention is to provide the right infrastructure, work with partners also to see how the right infrastructure is being provided, so that when people return, people don't have to run out. Recall, for those of you who read the Bible, there's a story of the Israelites in Egypt, and they were rescued, but
Benue Fashion Show Season 3 is here.
It's that time of the year for fashion designers, entrepreneurs, and fashion enthusiasts to shine.
This year, sale of forms for the competition begins from 15th April to 30th June 2024.
Pick a form at Benue Television, located at Special Duties Wing, Government House, Makudi. Form costs 5,000 naira only.
Stage 1 screening begins on the 6th of July 2024. Great prizes await you.
The first prize, 1 million naira. Second prize, 500,000 naira. And third prize, 300,000 naira. All prizes are inclusive of cash and fashion tools. Also, consolation prizes and gift items.
For sponsorship, partnership and inquiries, please call Benue TV Marketing on 0906 188 9838 or 0703 794 5569. Benue Fashion Show, embracing fusion fashion.
Welcome back from that break. We're still having a conversation on USAID BHA funded humanitarian intervention in Benue State. And just before that break, Salio, you were, talking to us about the initiatives, the impact, of this initiative to Benue State.
Yeah. So, like I said earlier, the funded the project is going to herald the next level conversations on durable solutions as we drive durable solutions. This government is mindful of the need to return IDPs, people who are displaced, back to their ancestral homes. And like I said earlier, returning the displaced person to the ancestral homes has to be voluntary. They need to give consent to say we want to go back, and where do you want to go back to, so that we don't also coerce them. There are laws governing all of this. We need to also ensure that where they are going back to is safe, and that's what, like I said earlier, the governor is working on. The governor is working on making sure that when they return back to the ancestral homes, they are in a safe space. One is the announcement of road construction, rural road constructions. Most of the communities where these IDPs come from are affected by that announcement, and when these roads are constructed, even if it's going to give inroad for response, quick response by even the military, quick response by voluntary security operations, quick response by even the community. Someone is able to run with a car to come and report to the nearest police station. The next is also the fact that the governor has also announced so many agricultural schemes, and most of these agricultural schemes are aimed at ensuring that the people whose livelihood was farming are able to go back to farming and do a lot of all of that. Very recently, there was announcement of a health insurance scheme in the camps.
Yeah.
So most of them also are able to walk freely to a hospital and take up services. The overall impact is that, like I said earlier, the BHA funded project that is being driven through IOM is going to enable us to have one camp where at least 5,700 households will be taken care of in that camp. Now, when you have them all in one place, you can have them access to quality water, you can have access to quality sanitation, sanitary arrangements, drainages, pipe-on water, boreholes, as it were. Schools. They're going to have schools.
I'm getting the estate picture. You mentioned of the estate.
It is.
Okay.
It's a mini estate. It's going to be a mini estate, not the kind that you find in the BIPC kind of estate, but it's going to be an estate where you can, in Bama, you knew you were in an IDP camp, but you knew you were in a better place.
Yeah.
So you find there's a street, you literally can stand and see the first house to the last house, because the line is on the street.
I can imagine it.
So you have, and here we're also going to have skill acquisition center for women and girls. We're going to have protection officers on site.
Yes.
We're going to generate within the camp community protection experts. It is from here we're also going to have the camp manager in the IDP camp in Bama is an IDP himself. he was from that community, was displaced, he's trained. If that guy speaks now, you think he's an international expert. Of course, that's what he has become. So in that coordinated space, you're able to also support people to grow.
Yeah.
To grow as well. I think what Sir James has done also is pretty good. Right now, there are people identified in camps who are given opportunities. In fact, most of the camp officials you find now, some of them, the slots for employment are also given to IDPs who are of working age and also qualified. These things are very critical to underline. Working age and also qualified. IDP is not where you go and just pick up people and adopt. Your philanthropy is good, but that will put you in trouble. NAPTIP will come after you because they are protected. It's a protected environment.
Yeah.
So also, you don't also just go and say you're employing people in IDPs to, you have to go through a particular route before you employ another. But
which specific IDPs are going to be the beneficiaries of this, or is it the whole registered IDPs in Benue State?
Before you respond to that, I'm sorry again, we have to go for yet a very short break. We'll come back, we'll address some of those issues. Please stay with us.
It is the first day of work for representatives of the World Bank and the National Management Unit of AgriSol project. The team heads to Naka Town in Gwe West and Adoka in Otokbo local government areas on an inspection of the Naka Earth Dam and Udabi Water Dam for possible intervention. At the palaces of De Tioshin in Naka and Alegu of Adoka, project team task lead AgriSol, Dr. Joy Agene, explains that the proposed dams in their localities for rehabilitation will serve as source of livelihood for the rural communities, announcing that because of the challenge of potable water in the areas, borehole projects will commence as soon as possible.
The dam, proposed dam, we've assessed it. We cannot for sure say that we are going to proceed with it because there are some information we need to check. But be rest assured, whether we proceed with the dam or not, that this community will have access to drinking water. This community will benefit from the revolving funds. This community will be mobilized to be climate resilient, just like with other communities across Benue State and the northern Nigeria. We are going to do a hydrological study to understand the groundwater, understand the aquifer, and see potential for also borehole that really give us pure and potable drinking water, because this intervention is long-term.
State Tyoshin Chief Daniel Abomte and Alegu of Adoka Chief Samuel Onu comment on dredging of the dams in their areas, saying the move will encourage dry season farming. They excitingly convey their joy over the work being carried out by Akrisol with the hope that the borehole project will commence as projected to serve as immediate solution to the poor water situation in their areas.
This local government, since creation, many decades, our greatest problem for life to sustain humanity has been lack of potable water. The dam is infested with flukeworm, Schistosoma hemostobium species, and everybody rely on the dam as the only source of water, and it's giving us a big problem. That on our side, we are ever ready to give our 100% goodwill for any project initiated by the World Bank in this local government to strive.
The economy is very, very important to this community because our problem as a community is water. This community is the highest populated community in the whole Benue State.
State Project Coordinator Akrisol Victor Ama, Commissioner for Water Resources, Environment and Climate Change Ogo Odo, Chairman Gwe West and Otukpo Local Government Area Henry Agba and Alfred Okete formed part of the inspection team. Winifred Yoso, Benue Television News, Makudi.
We're never resting on our oars until all our IDPs go back home. Thank God we're already on the pathway. Please, if you don't have anything to contribute to the growth and development, to the progress and prosperity of the state, while you are welcome to remain in Benue State, please be cautious of what you say. Remember, if you don't know anything, don't say anything. I know God loves Benue, God loves you, and so do I. God bless Benue and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you all, everyone.
Back from that break, you're still watching Daybreak Benue. We're having a conversation on USAID BHA funded humanitarian initiative here in Benue State, and we have an understanding so far listening to our guests of what the nature of this USAID BHA funded humanitarian initiative would look like. Talking about more comfortable structures for the people in the IDP camps, and more of like a mini estate for them. But there is this temptation of one actually being very comfortable in this kind of structures, especially knowing that cost of rent out there is very expensive right now. Will government keep continuing to, for those who will not want to return back to ancestral homes, will government continue to keep providing for them?
First is to also share with you that no matter how comfortable it gets, no one wants to stay in a place that's not their home. So that's the first. I can tell you, as much as we're even thinking that where they stay right now is not comfortable for them, and we're thinking of this program is thinking of this initiative to get this new housing, I can assure you that there are some of them who have given consent that they don't want to move to even a new facility that's been thought of building. It will never get that comfortable for people who don't want to go home. But I assure you that the plans, I want us to keep our eyes on the ball, which is the durable solutions.
Yes.
So it will get comfortable. It's a comfortable place for us is the dignity, and it's exciting for us if people are comfortable. But what we don't want is for people to sustain the conversations around not going back. We will work with them periodically, and I think part of the conversations around camp coordination and camp management is to help people prepare them mentally. So that's why part of the funding we're getting, especially from other partners, UNHCR is investing heavily in some components of that. They are very heavy on protection. UNHCR, they are very heavy on protection. They are very heavy on mental health, and that's helping to prepare the IDPs to understand that a time will come, no matter how comfortable we get, we have to move away from this
and
environment.
then you have to face that environment where you probably lost your loved ones. You have to go back and still cope with that kind of environment.
Yes, I was going to ask, what is this seminar or your bureau is doing in terms of trying to arrange the people psychologically? For example, somebody has been raped and the case has been reported. What are you doing, or what have you put in place to help those people, their mental state, their psychological state? Is there anything like that on ground?
So we have, as I said, SEMA has deployed staff to this camp who are trained psychosocial support to the IDP. So preparing them mentally to understand that, what has come, what has passed. So let them understand that life continues. So they will go back to their homes. Initially, they will be first with the memory of the people who were here with them and they have gone. But we are preparing them to understand that if lives continue, the government is going to give them basic support for them to live their life and forget about the past.
Okay, sorry, I need to come in here, Stephen. You know, the governor of Benue State, your principal, has already clocked 1 year in office. What the people, coming on the show this morning would have, or are hoping, or would have loved to hear is, finally, the people can now return back to their ancestral home. Remember, it's one of the key promises he made, and he made that pronouncement loud and clear, with certainty on the day of his inauguration, that he even gave it a certain time frame that it will be returned back to their ancestral homes. But it's already a year, and here we are talking about a mini estate for the people with the IDPs.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, the governor is alive with his promise to the people that they are going to return to their home. The reason why he launched the Daybreak solution. If you are in this house, you have the opportunity to make your own investigation, get news at any level you want to get news. I want to announce to you that happily that many people have gone back to their farmlands. Now, today, unmolested. People are on their farmlands. That is the process of the governor. What is the governor doing? Like what the DG said, the governor have been in touch with the security, the top leadership of the security in this country. Every day you see him moving from one security house to another, preparing grants for to also have peace building among this community and giving the IDP hope that there is space in their communities. And one of that hope is that today, as we speak, many of these people have gone back to their farms, their family, home of the state. So, as we are building hope and peace measures in these communities, this is the process of these people returning back to their home. The governor, let me say, that has achieved almost 60% of this promise of these people going back to their home. And one of them is launching this Daybreak solution. He has approached international organization and government organization, and we are hosting about 6 ambassadors in Benue tomorrow, Wednesday. About 8 head of UN organizations in Benue tomorrow. This is the measures of collaboration between the government of Benue State and the owner organization, so that we find peace in the communities, so that people can move back.
Okay. I think also statistically speaking, I do not want to discredit the past administration, but when we came in here, my first interaction with Sir James, I asked for the data for IDPs. I got about 2 million, or 2 million, 2 point something million IDPs. I asked another agency, I got about 1 point something million data, and you this morning has said 1.5 million. So when I put together all of those disjointed data, I take an average of 1 million IDPs. Let's just say before this government took over, we had about 1 million IDPs. Let's give or take. We don't have the facts. The Benue humanitarian situation that was reported before now reported about 2 million IDPs, which is the data I must respect. What SEMA had was about 2 million. I had spoken with one agency, I can't remember, gave me about 1.8, and now 1.5. So if I take an average, let's give or take 1 million IDPs. As of today, the IOM data tracking metrics that's ongoing, it's not finalized, but I can assure you that in 6 months of driving that enumeration process, we have just about 159,000 IDPs in camp.
And in host communities, not just
in camps and in host communities. What that tells you is, if people are not returning, if the conditions are not right for people to return, you would have had more numbers in camp. So on a scale of 1 to 10, if you ask me the percentage of success of the promise of Governor Alia to his people, it's 7.
That's about 70%.
That's about 70%, because if you're doing the maths now, let's agree on an average. Let's take an average of 1 million. That, let's say what we met on ground was 1 million IDPs. I'm not quoting data that we generated. We're quoting data that we met.
Okay.
So the data we met on ground, and I don't want to say past administration, I'm saying government is continuous, right?
Yes.
So we cannot go away from the data that we met. We met the data. In fact, statistically speaking, what SEMA had documented was 2 million, 2 point something million
so
IDPs.
2 million, let me be specific. 2,146 IDPs.
2,146,000
That was data that was sent over to me.
That's what we had on ground. But as we speak now, the IOM data tracking matrix, which is being deployed, is a global standard for counting IDPs, both in camp and off camp. Now, as at 6 months of driving the enumeration, which is statistically verifiable, we have about 159,000 as at the last count, and it's still counting. But I can assure you that no matter how we get to, we might never get to beyond the numbers that are real.
So that by implication, people are actually returning back to their ancestral homes. We had interacted with certain persons in this current administration and posed the question as to why the people have not yet returned to their ancestral homes, and were informed that certain things must first be put in place for them to return, and that they can't just let them go. They have to build shelter for them, help them to resettle. So for those that have returned, actually, have those things been met for them to move?
So the thing is, returning to ancestral home, one, is about enabling environment. That's the first criteria for returning to your ancestral homes. Some people's homes were not destroyed. Some people's lives were taken. So some people just the chaos. So for those kind of people, they found succor and have gone back to their ancestral homes independently. Now, you wouldn't get back home if the security of that environment is not safe, right? So while we might not be able to say that those, it's not compulsory. If your home was not destroyed, do we need to go and build a home on a home, right? If it was farmlands, right, the government is putting in place so many palliatives to enable your farming, and most of the beneficiaries of these farms, through Sir James, is making sure that the IDPs are getting these things first. So once you indicate, you go back. The only thing we're doing now is also tracking out of camp movements, so that we know who is leaving, so I'll be able to tell that story when next you ask this question. But the thing is, what Governor Alia is doing is providing social amenities that are required. In health, if the Commissioner of Health was here, he would reel out the achievements, what's going on in the health sector. The PAC on our roof, the basic healthcare fund that is being deployed, ensuring that every ward has at least a CHU working there, so that if the IDPs return, they can have someone who can attend to them health-wise. the governor is ensuring that roads are being constructed now in those hinterlands, so that these people, when they farm, they can take out their food stuff, right? When you know a road is going to be constructed here, why won't you go back? So I'm saying that when merchants of disbelief try to make you understand, it's a systemic way of returning, but it's not as hard as people make it sound. Is the right environment we created? Yes. Is the chaos reducing? Yes.
Yes.
Do we still have incidences? Yes, we do have skirmishes once in a while, but we don't have those loud incidences that take people away permanently, right? The idea of emergency is supposed to be temporal. So when emergency becomes prolonged, then it becomes that's chaotic, right? So this government is making sure that where there are emergencies, it's temporal, and we are able to manage them, right? And that is why I'll tell you that a lot of these people are going back. Recall also that where these numbers of 2 million were coming from was where we were seeing ourselves on a daily with rampages happening, and people were deploying out of the communities. But right now, these rampages are reduced, the skirmishes are reduced, and people are going back to their source of livelihoods. However, the few who are still in camp, that's over 159,000 that is being counted right now, who are still in camp, and of course this number is ongoing. Recall two things. Governor Alia's promise to the people is a living promise. You know, if you understand what living promise means, is that it's an ongoing promise. It means that it's a living and leading promise. So as the situation keeps going, let me give you an example. What if the governor took over and there were more incidences? People would still be out of their ancestral homes. But what the governor knew was he was going to work with the communities, work with the security agencies, work with stakeholders to stem the tides of incidences that give birth to the crisis. Now we're working with partners.
And that brings me to my next question.
Yeah.
So what actually gave birth to this crisis? Because this humanitarian situation in Benue State, is it man-made? Is it natural, or it's complex?
It's all. Key criteria. In fact, Benue ticks off the boxes for every criteria for humanitarian crisis. Number one, in fact, the situations of IDP was given birth to by natural disasters. And sometimes I like your colleague at NEMA who says they're not just natural, they're man-made disasters. Because you knew flood was going to come. You didn't do anything to protect yourself from the flood. And since you didn't do flood, it's man-made. He says it's not natural disaster, but I feel there are still natural disasters. So yeah, flooding, first of all, was one of the biggest reasons before this crisis. First reasons why some of these camps began to spring up. You recall the floodings that happened, began to sink buildings here in Makodi and all of that. People started settling. I remember some schools here were even affected with people leaving there. So yeah, natural disasters is a major cause for this. Some people have never recovered from.
Well, I think that would be difficult for the average Benue person to believe, because if it is natural disaster will end, and you still.
I was actually still reading out the different causes of this disaster, of the conflict, right?
I know
natural disaster is one. It's one,
and it's key according to you.
It's key, definitely. You can't take it away. Just because people are not shouting doesn't mean it's not happening. Are you aware that there are communities that there are gully erosions that have happened, and they don't live in their houses anymore?
Of course.
And they don't have the money to build those houses, right? So it's a disaster. To you, maybe your street is clean, but I can assure you, try visiting a few parts of North Bank, right, where the governor is working now to rehabilitate, right? And through the AgriSAR project that I just saw now, a lot of these recoveries have been happening, and these places will be recovered. But these people, I can assure you, people are leaving those homes, nowhere else to go but they're in the IDPs, and we can do that analysis. Then there are, of course, people who have left homes because there were conflicts either between community and community, or there were conflicts between bandits and the people in the community, or there were conflicts between non-state actors and people in the community. So all of this.
Then predominantly the armed headers attack.
I like to say non-state actors, armed non-state actors. So non-state actors, a group of people who definitely carry guns, but are not licensed to carry guns, and go into communities of Mayan people. So the categorization of these non-state actors is what you journalists can break down. But like I said, there are different categories of these things that hamper the generality of what's happening in our communities. And in the end, generally, all of this lead to our people being displaced. And I agree with you that yes, the conversations around predominant camp inhabitants being driven away by non-state actors is largely one of the biggest reasons, right? But I can assure you, and you know as journalists, that non-state actors' activities or incidences have been reported less in this administration. We would really want to eliminate it completely, but these things happen with the powerful collaborations that are going on right now with the governor and our neighboring states and our friends also globally. We're having conversations with partners. The Benue Peace and Reconciliation Commission is doing a fantastic job at ensuring that people who are aggrieved are being reconciled, are being spoken to. Just recently we received a team from Search for Common Ground, and they're coming here to invest heavily in the peace building process, healing process. All right, healing process. It's very common. We can sit here and say there are conflicts between
That's the upper.
okay, so I'm not even using that. I'm saying maybe there are conflicts between herders and farmers. Unarguably, yes. That's a marriage that has always never, from time immemorial, that marriage has never worked well, right? People always have conflict. The farmers are having issues with the herders are having issues with the farmers. Now, over time, guns were introduced. Before now, farmer herders used to be about, I slap you, slap me, I beat you, you beat me, I knock you, knock me, I carry my stick, you carry your hoe, we fight. Guns were introduced in the picture, right? And the herders, the original herders who have dwelt in that community.
Cow rustling also became part of it.
Cow rustling became a part of it. Cow rustling became a part of it, and people began to seek. I don't want to go into the dynamics of all of this conversation, but at the end of the day, different dynamics were introduced into the conflicts, and when those dynamics are introduced into the conflicts, you understand that definitely there will be the need to reconcile people. There are people who are truly brothers in those communities. We're talking to you earlier, and I was talking to a guy who's, of course, Fulani extraction. He has lived in that particular community for 58 years. So 58 years ago, there was no Fulani, there was no farmer herder. There were farmer herder conflicts that were resolved amicably on the table. So that guy wants to reconcile with his real brothers because he still calls those people his brothers. And that's a beautiful job that is going on right now with this administration. The Benue Peace and Reconciliation Commission is doing a fantastic job at reconciling those who want to reconcile. But again, like I said, it's good to also know where unscrupulous elements are existing to be able to fish them out and deal. And the governor is doing all of that. What we don't want to do is bandit, I don't want to call it bandit justice or jungle justice. To say, let's call these names the way they are, and then let's fish out the real culprits, as it were, so that we can have lasting solutions to these conversations. Sometimes in trying to resolve these things, you recruit conflicts. You recruit conflict because if someone is truly innocent and you've given him, someone told me that the name you call your child consistently becomes the name of the child. So we really need to call people by the right names.
We've had there was a statistic some time ago that in all the states, Benue State has the highest number of NGOs, and it is still in Benue State that even when interventions come, you don't really see its effect in the lives of the people that are concerned. Now, is there a monitoring or a tracking system in case of these funds are coming? For example, if you're involving other NGOs to take care of other specific areas, is there any way you are tracking the funds in case these monies or materials is at home?
I would allow the DG, International Cooperation and Development, to the agency that the governor has. These are new creation for the Benue State government, to right the wrongs, to make things work better. So I allow you to handle a number of NGOs.
Okay, so it might be good to correct that impression. Benue does not have the highest number of NGOs. I depend on the NGOs. So there are different categorizations of NGOs, right? There are local NGOs and there are international partners. Of course, there are still local NGOs that are called IPs, implementing partners, who are bigger. So we have NGOs in the categories of Society for Family Health, NGOs in categorization for Association for Reproductive Health, some bigger NGOs who are driven by Nigerians but are big. They are not foreign NGOs. So you have the class of Plan International who are foreign. You have the class of Save the Children who are foreign but localized, working in Nigeria. Those ones, we don't have a lot of them. In fact, the only people driving the conversations on the humanitarian situation in Benue were UNHCR only, and the likes of Save the Children,
MSF.
the likes of MSF, the likes of there are very few of them. So it's now, and UNICEF, WHO, and so you find that in fact before November 3rd, before August 18, when the governor had a high-level consultative meeting with 57 country directors and members of the INGO forum in Abuja, we had very few partners working here in the state, and those driving the conversation about the humanitarian situation in Benue State were those who, no matter how ugly the situation is, they will still stay. Those were the ones that were staying here. So on the contrary, we didn't have a lot. Right. But that meeting in Abuja where the governor met with members of the INGO forum began the conversation, and that was when we had the guys like Plan International coming back in. We had Save the Children expanding its scope within the state. We had the likes of Search for Common Grounds now coming in. We have the likes of Haifa International. We have the likes of UNFP. So even within the UN, we had only UNHCR playing big in the humanitarian space. We had UNICEF playing also very big, WHO playing regular. So WHO and UNICEF will always be available so far as there's children issue and there's health issue, right? So they will always intervene. But these other guys come when the environment is right for them, you know. And right now, IOM is not only here. IOM is here as a sector. Like, they're here big. They even have a sub-head office here in Benue State. So it's their presence here is almost likened to what they have in the Bay State. We also have UNFPA coming in. We have FAO indicated interest in coming in. We have the World Food Program who will be in touch partly. So we have a lot of partners at the UN saying, you know what, you guys have given us an environment, we won't come there. I want to announce to you also that His Excellency in his wisdom has also said, you know what, as they come, they keep asking for office. So why do you want to give them office here, give them office here, give them office here? So His Excellency has dedicated a whole 33-room complex to be given to the UN as a UN hub in the state. So for UN, we have that that's coming in, right? So I'll count from what we have. The DG planning.
Don't forget to mention that the government had graciously located the office space to UNHCR.
No, definitely.
In similar premises.
Definitely. Yeah. So UNHCR has a big office in similar premises. IOM also has a big office, in similar premises. Within the Bureau for International Cooperations and Development, we also have a couple of organizations that are housed there. Two of them will be housed there. But what we wanted was a hub where all of these guys will operate from. Yeah. Now, of course, when the UN takes over a place, they protect it as well and all of that. That also adds to the development of the state. So there's a whole building that is being provided for them. And once you get the UN guys in here, you also begin to attract a whole lot because one, most UN agencies don't deliver directly. They deliver through local NGOs. Yes. Good. In terms of local NGOs, yes. We have a chunk. We have, I think, yes. I might even agree with you that, yes, when it comes to local NGOs, we have a bunch, like we have so much. I might not have the data in my palms right now because they keep increasing every day. Like you ask the data today, they are this number, tomorrow they are that number. People set up NGOs in Benue State for the right reasons and some of them for very funny reasons, right? Whatever the reasons are, we will not crucify people. What we'll say is they need capacity. And what we offer at the Bureau is that capacity. Just now we have approval we have discussions. 25 NGOs will be trained on humanitarian on global humanitarian response. So everybody say, we are NGO, we respond in the humanitarian space. And when you go there and see them, they operate and you're like, do you really know what you're doing? So before you blame them, or before we blame them, we want to train them. And that training is going to be sponsored by IOM. And we're going to bring 25 of them to build their 25 that we've seen who are active in the camp. And we're going to build their capacity in that regard. They understand how to do coordination, they understand how to do camp condition management, they understand how to do intervention, they understand protection, they understand so many basic things how to do in the camp. So we are going to train them. So before we tell them that they are doing it wrong, we would have trained them. We're also organizing a project management training for all executive directors of NGOs. But we can't do for all because it's resource. It's a lot of money. Project management training, one person costs about 350,000 naira. If you want to do for all the NGOs are here, it's going to cost us a lot. But we want to see how we can do it in 2 batches of 25. So at least 50 executive directors will benefit from that activity. We're helping them to write proposals. That's one of the biggest problems with most NGOs. They don't even know how to write proposals. So it can't attract funding. So we're helping them to write proposals. The program unit of the Bureau is working with most NGOs here. In fact, we've helped some of them to write proposals already, and we're expecting funding to come in through that. The funding doesn't come to the Bureau. No one will fund the Bureau. We're a government agency, but the funding can go through that.
Is there a tracking system for?
Yes, definitely there is. We have a robust tracking system. The state has a 3-pronged approach to this. One is that we onboard, so the local NGOs operate under 2 auspices in the state, CSOB and Bengonet.
Yeah. Okay.
So Bengonet is Benue Network of NGOs, and then CSOB is community, I think CSO, Civil Service Organization of Benue, yeah.
Okay,
and all that.
time is fast spent, so I'll just bring you to the similar boss. The humanitarian interventions coming into the state, is this actually what Benue State need?
Yes, for now, we, like we said, like we want to take IDP who have occupied classrooms to allow these children to go back to school. We want to take IDPs who are living in mosquito tents away from that so that they will not suffer raining season this time. We want to take them out to allow the market space where it was being constructed by the market local government, take them away so the market, the aim of the local government can be achieved, having a market in North Bank. So we are going to take them away from NEPA quarters so that those who are owners of that place and get back have them. We start to know that 3 people who borrow money to build those structures, 3 of them died. We want to return those facilities to their owners so that we have these people in one place. The good thing about it is that they will better be managed, better be protected, they will be careful. And then when finally they are going, and when you are talking about returning people to IDP, I understand what people are looking at is maybe the camps are close.
Yeah, maybe Pharaoh let my people go. There will be a launch where they're crossing the Red Sea and people are actually moving.
So people are moving to their ancestral home because of what the governor has done and will continue to do. So people are looking at, today the governor will launch
in a ceremonial.
We are crossing camp.
Okay.
It's not like that.
Oh, okay.
People are moving back to their home voluntarily. Yeah, people are going back because the environment has safe now. So we are going to achieve a lot when we have this IDP, when this project is being implemented and the people are moved to these places I mentioned. We are not stopping here in Albagna. In fact, the camp is going to be, the transit camp is going to be sited in Albagna. But we are not going to stop in Albagna. We are going to continue advocating so that IDP can be Uba. It's being hosted in Ameriji Primary School, the same in Anyi, the same in Agagbe, the same in Naka, the same advocacy we are going to continue with, knocking on the door of this organization. Okay, so that also in Naka, while we are waiting for this camp to finally close, as the people are expecting.
Okay. Okay, since the people have not seen that, they're probably hoping because there's this mindset or narrative out there that people cash out for humanitarian situations a lot. There are certain people that benefit majorly, and they won't want the humanitarian situation to end in Benue State.
No, not in Benue State.
Okay.
The government, it will end.
Okay, maybe you can tell us, what are your challenges? Because definitely you must have run into 1 or 2 challenges, even with the people you are trying to help. Do you have any challenges?
Yeah, basically, because me, I'm a humanitarian person now. In fact, the governor has converted me from the civil service job to
humanitarian.
As a humanitarian. And my biggest challenge is to see these people in camp. One of these days, I will come and take all of you to this camp. Just visit 1 or 2 camps away from Makwedi. Where this camp, who are around the town here. We go to Anyi, we go to Agagbe, and we see firsthand how people are living. And that is my biggest challenge. My biggest challenge. I don't have any other challenge because the government is supporting me very well to deliver on my assignments. So I don't have challenge.
Quickly,
my way.
Yeah, you are involving local NGOs. Is there any way you are bringing in the media to be part of this course?
Okay, so yes, there's media for development programs that we have. Like I said, it's funding. The Bureau is working with a few partners. In fact, I've been in touch with a few friends at a few organizations. So I wouldn't. It's a global TV, so I wouldn't want to go there. But we're speaking. First was our concern was the media around government, basically to help people understand how to report development media, basically how to talk about development. I'm quite impressed with how you guys you're out in here. It sounds. I think the last quality I saw like this was at Radio Benue.
Yeah.
And it's quite. I'm impressed with how you were planting. So you guys might not even need the training, but I'm saying that a lot of people might need those kind of trainings. A lot of people might need those trainings, and yeah, so we're working on that. But this is the other thing. I like the question because let me not lie to you. We might not have been thinking of it, but it's also to think about getting the media involved in these kind of trainings so that it's easy for them to report as well. When the whole people understand and the media doesn't understand, then it's different. So yeah, it's an advocacy you've just done indirectly here. I will keep that in mind basically, and I'll speak with our funders to add a few slots for the media in that training. But yeah, ours is we have encouraged localization. So as partners are coming in here, we say, you know what, we have local partners here, deal with them, work with them, so that our partners can also go. When you keep saying your partners are not good, your partners don't have capacity, build their capacity. We've also said for sustainability, work with our MDAs as much as possible. So you see, for instance, the UNFPA project that is coming tomorrow, there'll be training. 40 social mobilization officers and the 25 CBMs, community-based mobilizers, are all either from the communities affected or they are civil servants. The idea is teach our civil servants how to do this, so that when you leave, our civil servants can be able to deliver sustainably. You know, you keep saying, civil servants do that. But if you notice civil servants who are exposed to development work, their thinking is different. How they even talk is different. So we want to increase that number so that people in the civil service can actually have that to do. By and large, I don't know if you're going to ask this. For us tomorrow, we're expecting a very huge delegation, a diplomatic delegation. Embassies, representatives, or the ambassadors will be here. A few ambassadors are going to be here. There's a group called the Northeast Ambassadors Group. So the Northeast Ambassadors Group is a group of concerned ambassadors, about 10 of them, 10 or 12 of them, who have said we want to support the humanitarian situation in Nigeria. But because it was a big state, so they were based in Northeast, but now they are coming back to Benue, and this will be their first move into Benue. So IOM is bringing them in here for this launch tomorrow, for this launch next tomorrow. It launches on Thursday, but tomorrow what we have is they'll arrive in here, we'll have a brief interaction with the governor of Benue State. I will also have an interaction with the people of Benue State at the State Executive Council. We'll have a presentation about the governor's vision to them so that they'll be able to know we're ready for business. And then we'll have syndicate meetings with the governor. Some of them will have
Don't forget to mention that they're going to also
IOM is supporting SEMA with the building of the first humanitarian conference hub in the whole of Nigeria.
Yeah.
And that hub will have a nearly 500 capacity seating, and it's state of the art because it's going to have a situation room, early warning, early response room. It's going to have offices, executive offices. It's going to house. So it's going to be a state of the art, and it's being built in SEMA. So I will come in with Northeast Ambassadors Group to come and look at what that happening there. Then of course there will be donations also of NFIs. NFIs are non-food items. There will also be donations of dignity kits. Our girls in the camp need to have dignity kits. So these are packs that have sanitary pads, that have basic drugs, basic items and all of that for girls to be able to
And I will take all of these things as your way of wrapping up on the conversation
Yes.
with USAID BHA funded intervention here in Benue State. Thank you very much, Leo Angelo Biashima, Director General Bureau for International Cooperation and Development, for coming on Daybreak. Will we just give you some few minutes to wrap up your thoughts and talk to the Benue people concerning this USAID BHA funded intervention here in Benue State?
Yeah, thank you. I want to ask Benue people to be patient with the governor, and ask my displaced brothers to be also patient with the governor. The governor is working 24 hours every night, every day, to making sure that he delivers on his promise to return them to our house. So some of them who have already go back to their places. I was in Otesi, and the traditional rulers in Guma local government had a meeting, and they were celebrating the governor already. For now, there are people to go back to their homes. So we thank God that the governor is on the positive track, and almost 70% our people have been displaced. I mean, have gone back. Who are displaced have gone back, and I'm happy that the governor is supporting SEMA to deliver on his mandate, on the organization, and most of that bringing an agency like Teaching Corporation to support what we are doing. So, like he said, I will continue to remember him that as BHA is coming here tomorrow, that the next visit is to train journalists in Benue State. So that, so that the right reportage by humanitarian activities will be carried on in this time. So, because we're in Bruno, we notice how we have the people who are reporting. Not that they were born with that kind of knowledge, they were trained on the field by the UN organization to deliver on their forecast.
Especially investigative journalism, so you won't just take what the government is telling you.
Exactly.
Or you report facts.
So, and the good thing about the government is that nothing is hidden. It's open. It's an open government. Any information you want, you can get it.
Okay.
There's nothing to hide.
All right, thank you very much. The SEMA, I call you the SEMA boss.
Yeah, thank you so much.
The Executive Secretary SEMA, talking about Sir James Yopo for coming on Daybreak this morning.
Thank you.
And giving the people so much hope, because that's what you've done, that within, in as much as they're going to have these very comfortable places to lay their heads within the period, there's assurance that within a period of 6 to 9 months, the people will actually should be able to return back to their ancestral home. So yes, the USAID humanitarian intervention does not mean that the IDP situation in Benue will be permanent, but it's just a step in the right direction to ensure that the people return back to their ancestral homes. All right, this is what we'll call it. Goodbye, or say goodbye to this edition. Sorry, we may not be able to bring you papers to find out stories that are making the news for this edition of Daybreak Benue. But thank you so much for being on the other end and being part of the program. My name is Mercy. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Stephen, Abba, have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much.